just learned that there are whole groups of kids, not really kids, but they are kids in high school and middle school who, one, don't know how to tie their shoes, two, don't know how to peel an orange. Now, a lot of people have been hating on their boomer parents. I understand why. I'm in the car right now because I just got into an argument with my stepfather, who is a boomer. My mom is like Jones, but nobody ever pays attention to Jones, and Jones is sometimes kind of pick me. But there is one thing I know for sure. I knew how to freaking tie my shoes at 4 years old. I knew how to peel an orange at 4 years old. You see, when you have kids, you have to teach them this stuff. This stuff is not like, breathing. You teach it to them by showing. I actually learned how to be potty trained because my mom took me to the bathroom with her every single time she used the restroom. So there was no real issue about potty training. I know that's where you go to do that stuff. All of you want to be great parents are failing your kids because you're not teaching them even the freaking basics. And it's so sad because boomers are not, but they at least cared enough about you to teach you how to, 1, wipe your ass, 2, tie your shoes, 3, if you were having problems with reading, well, a lot of times they did try to hide that, but that's because, dyslexia, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole thing about it. But they still got you tutors. You bitches today think that teachers are supposed to teach your kids how to wipe and tie their shoes. That's a little too intimate. I remember how I was as a kid, and I was reading, well, I was kind of reading at 4 too, but whatever. I would never want a teacher to teach me how to use the restroom. That's not appropriate. I never had a teacher to teach me to tie my shoes. Now, there were times when my mom would be impatient, like especially with teaching me how to drive. She's Jones, so, teaching me how to drive, she screamed at me a couple times. But she realized that we weren't getting along as far as that was concerned. And she literally had my uncle and a cousin teach me. She doesn't remember it that way, but I remember it that way. Things are not just, you're born and then you're breathing and you're walking and you can automatically tie shoes. No, they're taught. They're taught. Now, my generation was unfortunately a generation that had to do a lot of stuff that wasn't taught. And a lot of times we didn't like to read directions either. So, because it was new, boomers couldn't teach us that, I'm talking about technology. But even now, we are more technologically savvy than some of the kids. And they grew up with it. It's like their arm or their eyesight. They grew up with it, but they don't know how to reboot a computer. They don't know how to reboot a computer. And let's face it, it's because they never had to, because everything moves smoothly right now, but not anymore because of the situation, especially in America, that we're all in. I grew up with the curiosity to push a button. Oh, that button didn't do what I wanted. Push that button instead. Oh, I pushed all the buttons. Half of you don't even know what the app TikTok or Instagram does, and you're on it all the time because you guys don't ever investigate what all the freaking buttons are. And this is not to diss Gen Z or Gen Alpha or whatever gen we're on right now. This is actually to diss their parents. Because while y'all are taking the time to criticize the people who taught you and me how to tie our shoes and use the restroom. You're taking the time to criticize them. You're not taking the time to teach your kids how to wipe their ass, how to write, print. I was doing cursive and print at 4 years. I was doing, Now my handwriting is a little off because you weren't supposed to learn cursive that young. But I can do it, and I can make it look pretty if I choose to. This rant is almost over. All I'm going to say is take the time to teach your kids what you think is obvious, because it's not. You know, our family owns a lot of property. I sometimes have to clean them, and sometimes after people who don't use common sense, like check around. If you see a bunch of bowls in one area, maybe that's where you put that bowl from the dishwasher. Peeling an orange. My mom actually didn't teach me how to peel an orange. I watched her peel an orange. I watched my grandpa and my granddaddy Aiken peel tangerines. Granddaddy Aiken loved tangerines. I watched him peel it. And then I realized, you know what? I can do this myself. It did hurt my little nails a little bit, because when you put your nail, but you know, I never was given apples that were cut up for me. I was given the whole apple and told to take a bite. Peeled grapes was not a thing in my family. In fact, we always had grapes with seeds in them. I learned at a very early age, bite the grape, pull out the seeds, eat the rest of the grape. And the grapes aren't good for little kids to eat. I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm just saying your kids aren't even taught to observe your behavior. And maybe because you don't have the right behavior. But you learn by watching, you learn by doing, you learn by somebody taking the time to teach you. And obviously these things aren't happening anymore. So let's just get off the boomer train. I ain't got time to deal with that shit. And let's get on the train that matters. The fact that your kids don't think that they have to observe you doing minute, mundane task. Let's deal with the fact that you thought a teacher should teach your kid how to wipe their ass. Let's deal with that. Let's start there. Let's leave the boomers out of this shit. Because the boomers would take the time to teach your kid how to tie their fucking shoes. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm so glad I don't have kids. That's all. Toodles.